kid you not. I kid you not. Hey, my loves. Hey, girl, hey, we're back. Girl, yesterday's conversation was good, wasn't it? Yes, girl, it was so good. Okay, and I see you back. You came back for part 2. Okay, glad to have you back. And if you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Bianca. I am a mommy of two little boys, Jason Tate. They're 2 and 4. I'm a fitness enthusiast. I am the founder of Beasting Fitness. You can check those details in the description, girl. And I am so glad to have you here. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, baby girl. Join the community. I don't know if you are a new weight loss beginner, or you are embarking or just now embarking on your weight loss journey or your fitness journey or your wellness journey, or whatever that is or whatever that looks like for you. But baby girl, you have come to the right place. Okay, that is what we're doing. That is what we're talking about. If you don't know, we are in a series based upon my weight loss ebook that I wrote. It's called A Girl's Club Guide to a More Sustainable Weight Loss. And if you didn't catch part 1, baby girl, you got to go back and watch that video. Okay, so today we are talking about part 2, and just to catch you guys up to speed a little bit, yesterday we talked about a bunch of things. We basically talked about how are you able to lose weight without exercising? Yeah, yes, your eating just has to be really clean. Matter of fact, I talked to you guys so much that I didn't even realize that my lip gloss was stale. So girl, I have to apologize for that in the last video. So we will be sure to take a break to make sure that, girl, we are all polished up and that I am not talking your ear off and that my lip gloss is not stale. We also talked about our BMR, our basal metabolic rate, right? And if all of that sounds like really jargony, girl, don't be afraid, because the whole purpose and essence and reason for me to make these videos is to basically give you guys what you need to know, right? I've done all the research. I've done all the hard work. I did all of that so that you guys wouldn't have to, right? And I put it all together in a cute little ebook that you can pull it up on your phone. The only thing you have to do is go to beastingfitness.com, girl, and get those details. But anyways, we're on part 2 today. I cannot talk more than I'm already talking to get you guys caught up with where we are today. So go back and watch that video. This video is not for weight loss gurus. This video is for women who are trying to lose weight. You just had a baby, your hormones are different, you're approaching your 30s, or you just got out of college, or you're just going into college and you've never had to lose weight before. You don't know the first thing about losing weight. You don't know what to eat. You don't know what a calorie is. You don't know how to count anything. Don't keep up with anything. And right, this video is for you, girl. This video is for you because I've been you before, and I haven't lost weight 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, right? I've done this several times over a span of 10 to 12 years. And I think that with the research that I've done and compiled in congruency with just my personal anecdote, my personal experience, I definitely am qualified to come and talk to you, girl, baby. You better please believe it. So today, what are we talking about? We are talking about, and I have my little notes here, okay, to make sure that I'm giving the girls what they need, okay, the juice. So we are here to basically just talk about basic fat loss science. Oh, whether it's fats, whether it's proteins, whether it's carbohydrates, we need those all in proportions that are tailored to each of our unique body types. So you may need more healthy fats than me, avocado. I may need more proteins than you, right, to build lean muscle mass. Maybe my metabolism is a bit slower, and we speak about that in part 1, so go check out part 1, girl. Carbohydrates are important. They are an important part of our diet, but I think that we can definitely overdo it. So when we speak about this whole idea of, having more lean muscle mass than having fat, so that tricking our metabolism, to kickstart it so that it can, pretty much anticipate or look forward to, or, that next window of eating, right? When we begin to think about things like that, I think that we really, as women, even if there are men here too, hi, welcome. I think that we really don't realize how much that we are overeating as consumers. I don't think that we pay attention to how many calories we're drinking, how many calories that strawberry lemonade has at Wendy's. how many calories that Coke has, and if you have 3 of those a day, how many calories, you know, that biscuit from Burger King with the hash browns and the orange juice with the cheese and the egg on it. Like, yeah, girl, that's a lot of calories. And I don't think that we really have the science, if you're a beginner, right? Because this is not for gurus. If you are a beginner, you know, I think that the first thing that's important for us to know is that carbohydrates are the body's favorite energy source. It's the favorite out of the 3, right? So like we just said, the 3 are fats, proteins, carbohydrates. And of course, the body is gonna gravitate to carbs more than all of the others because, you know, for one, that may not be obvious reasons known to us, but one, they are pretty much immediately converted into energy as soon as they are absorbed, right? So we could think about that as they're fast acting. They're fast acting, they're pretty much, you know, they're quickly absorbed by the body, and as soon as they are almost immediately turned into energy. And we'll get into that in a little moment when we talk about simple carbs versus complex carbs, but that's the first thing that you should know. Carbs are the body's preferred energy source, okay? So we're talking about French fries, which are potatoes, those breads, you know, when you go to Cheesecake and they bring you the fresh bread basket, okay, you gotta eat the dark bread, the light bread with the butter. Those are carbs, right? So all of those, you know, are considered to be, you know, carbs. And girl, I would be lying to you if I said that, you know, if I ate a slice of pizza or if I ate French fries and tomorrow I wasn't up 2 pounds, because I am. And, you know, we'll get to that. But carbs are fast acting, you know, they turn into energy as soon as they are absorbed, but they are still an important part of the Trinity. And the whole idea around being in a calorie deficit, right, is having, again, the correct ratio of fats, the correct ratio of proteins, the correct ratio of carbohydrates that is tailored to your unique body style, where you are, you know, in your age group, if you're female, if you're male, you know, all of those things are important. But there's this thing, right? Because when we are in a calorie deficit, meaning that we're burning more calories than we are consuming, right? Then we get to kickstarting that metabolism as well as, you know, slowly dropping the pounds. It's important for us to make sure that we're eating foods that are fueling to our body, foods that are converted into energy and that are stored away properly in ways that build lean muscle mass. And when you're in a calorie deficit, you know, and you're, you know, burning more than you are consuming, you really want the body to be burning the right thing, right? We really want the body to be burning fat, and we really want the body to be burning protein versus muscle. Right? And that is the whole idea behind a term that I learned about doing all of my research, which is muscle catabolism. And that is when you are in such a calorie deficit, or you're in such a deficit that your body doesn't have the appropriate energy sources that it needs to feed off of in order to fuel itself. So instead of, you know, fueling itself off of, you know, our stored fat that we, you know, have stored away or tucked away, or instead of fueling itself off of protein, right, meaning that we didn't eat enough protein or we didn't have enough protein intake for that particular day, now our body is feeding off of the muscle tissue that we just built up in the gym. That's not what we want, and that is called muscle catabolism. When the body is, you know, fueling itself or basically eating away at the muscle tissue, the lean muscle tissue that we've just, you know, spent our time working to build up in the gym. And so really this whole idea behind, you know, eating healthy, wellness, upping your protein intake, building lean muscle mass, cutting down on all of those unhealthy fats is so that our body is not eating all of our lean muscle mass. And that is the muscle catabolism that we're talking about. So are carbs still important? And should we still consume carbs? Yeah, we should. And I told you guys that I read a book by Dr. Jay Teta. It's called The Metabolic Renewal. And you know, I've never been the type of person to count carbs. I've always counted calories, but my sister, she counts carbs all the time, even still to this day. But what Dr. Jay gave us a good concept to kind of hold on to as it pertains to carbs is basically pretty much if you have like 10 like those little baby potatoes, or if you have like 10 tablespoons worth of like mashed potatoes, right? You can consider that pretty much to be like the equivalent of 10 carbs, okay? And you know, that kind of really stuck with me when I was reading the book, because I never counted carbs before, and I really try to stray away from carbohydrates, mashed potatoes, the rices, whether it's white rice or brown rice, girl, I just try to stay away from it. The breads, I just stay away from it because my genetic makeup, like if I eat those things tomorrow, baby, I am up 2 to 3 pounds. I kid you not. I kid you not. So that was, you know, a really good visual that I could kind of hold on to, you know, that wasn't too complicated for me to think about, and I didn't have to do a whole bunch of math and research and, you know, flips and tricks and cartwheels to try to put that together. That's really easy. If you have 10 tablespoons of mashed potatoes, right, that means you're taking 10 bites that could pretty much roughly be chopped up to 10 carbs, okay? That's pretty easy, and that's a tip that you can take away, and that I hope that you guys take away with you as well. And so, but are carbohydrates bad for you? Like, should we even think about them as like good carbs versus bad carbs, and oh, I can't have carbs, and you know, like, should we even really like paint that picture if what we're really concerned about is having a healthy relationship with food? We talked about this in part 1, ERE, Dr. My Diamonds, you know, easy, repeatable, enjoyable, right? So can we still work carbs into, you know, our healthy eating, which is 80% eating, 20%, you know, body movement and exercise? Yes, we can. And the reason why it's still so important to have carbohydrates, you know, in moderation, in ratio with your fats and your proteins, is because, you know, carbohydrates help to protect those muscle tissues. So back to what we were just talking about, right? With the muscle catabolism, body eating off of the muscle tissues that we just, you know, put on in the gym due to upping our protein, or, you know, whatever that is. Yes, right? So if we have not fueled our body the right way with the appropriate ratio of fats, the appropriate ratio of proteins, then our body is going to start eating its muscle catabolism, and that is a way, or carbohydrates play a barrier role, a protecting role, to protect the body against eating its muscle tissues. And I hope that that makes sense. And when you think about it, some of the mashed potatoes really could, you know, probably in a sense, if you think about it, prevent the body from eating up all the muscle tissues. Okay, girl? But we have to be really careful with carbs still too, right? Because we just talked about how, you know, it is the body's preferred energy source. And one of the reasons that it is the body's preferred energy source. So let's just go ahead and get into it, okay? Let's just go ahead and get into it, right? There are things, girl. There are simple carbs and there are complex carbs. Simple carbohydrates are the carbs that we consume that when we eat them, they immediately spike our blood sugar levels, right? Like they have a surge of blood level glucose spikes up. So let me make sure that I'm giving it to you exactly the way that it is, right? Because the reason that that is so important is because, you know, if we are in a calorie deficit, right? Or that's our goal. We're trying to aim to be burning more calories than we are eating, right? Then you have to think about like whatever foods that you eat, the body stores it away. It stores it away, you know, as either, you know, a protein or stored away as a fat, right? Then obviously the body is telling itself, the mind is telling the rest of the body that, oh, we're going to use that for a later date and time, right? Oh, we might need that later on to be burned into some energy for whatever else, right? Oh, we may need that fat a little bit later on, you know, so let's just store it away. Let's just tuck it away, right? And maybe it might be stored here, 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 down here. It may be stored anywhere. We all store fat differently, especially as women. But when we overeat, the body has nothing basically to look forward to, right? We are having overabundance of calories, an overabundance of food. We have an overabundance of, you know, everything basically. So let's just store it all away, okay? Let's just store it all away. Let's put some in the arms. Let's put some on the waistline. Let's put some on the thighs. Let's just store it away in case we might need it later. But girl, what happens if you don't need it later? What happens happens if you don't need that extra fat that you just consumed, right? So now it's stored and tucked away, and then you're not exercising. What happens then? So the goal is to cause the body to use fat and protein as a source of energy by regulating our carbohydrate intake, right? So when we regulate our carbohydrate intake, right, and that's that 10 bites or 10 tablespoons of mashed potatoes, right? When we regulate that, then we're, helping the body to use the fat and the protein as sources of energy, to fuel the body on a go-forward basis. So when our body has like an overabundance of carbohydrates, an overabundance of fat, an overabundance of just like everything, right? Then the body basically has nothing to metabolize. It has nothing to look forward to. In part one, we talked about those interval eating windows, right? And so, when you begin to portion out your meals, when you begin to, eat more healthily, it keeps your body on a regular schedule. We all get hungry probably every 3.5 to 4 hours. You could just kind of Google that and it'll tell you that. And so if, we have eaten at 8 o'clock in the morning and we've stuffed ourselves, right, then it's probably going to be a little bit longer of time for most of us before our next meal. Sometimes a lot of us won't even eat again after that until like 6 p.m. And that is not helping the body to metabolize. That is not helping us to kickstart our metabolism, in which we want. That is the goal, right? We want our body, which is a machine, to constantly be, fueled by the foods that we eat, which ultimately break down into energy. So consuming an overabundance of carbs gives the body no reason to metabolize the fat, since basically there's always an overabundance, right? And so basically that is what packs on the weight. Overeating, which is stored in fat cells, without proper diet and without proper exercise, without proper body movement, that is what packs on the pounds, okay? Now let's speak about simple carbs versus complex carbs. So basically, simple carbs, you can just think about those as fast absorbing. They spike blood sugar levels, which causes a delay in the fat burning process. So simple carbohydrates, right? They spike our blood sugar levels. They're absorbed quickly, they convert into energy really quickly, and when they spike our blood sugar levels, it tells us, right? The facts tell us that during that time, delays the fat burning process until after those blood sugar levels are lowered, right? And then when they're lowered, it really it's counterproductive, because we're having a sense of feeling more hungry in quicker intervals, right? So it's kind of feeding us, quite literally, an overabundance of food, right? It's making us feel more hungry. It's not making us feel really full. It's spiking our blood sugar levels. It's kind of, tricking us, tricking our mind, tricking our body in the way that we really don't want it to be tricked, okay? So your complex carbs are gonna be like smaller increases to the blood sugar level. It's like a more regulated increase to the blood sugar level, like over a more consistent time period, a more consistent time frame, right? So it allows a slow and steady release of glucose into the bloodstream, especially when we begin to add like really fibrous foods, right? The fiber is gonna really, make us feel full for a longer period of time, maybe like your oatmeal, some of your grains, like I eat grits. That's actually in the weight loss guide. Fiber helps to keep you full for a much longer period of time. And then one interesting fact that I learned as well when I was doing my research is that, once the fiber is all converted into energy and used up, girl, the body rids away completely with the fiber, right? So it helps with digestion. And I just thought that was, really interesting. In the book, because some of us are really like visual people, in the book, there's a chart, and we speak about the glycemic index chart, which is basically just a chart of foods, right? And it just basically gives you like the GI or glycemic index rating of each of those foods and where they fall on the scale as far as being a simple carbohydrate or a complex carbohydrate, right? So how quickly there's a spike in your blood sugar level, or, you know, whether there's a slower or delayed release of, you know, spike in the blood sugar level. And that is what that whole chart represents. We have a pretty good one in the book if you guys want to go check that out at beastingfitness.com. And when I was doing my research, some of the experts, again, another Google fact, but when I was doing my research, some of the experts just pretty much recommended that, you know, the foods that we eat should have a glycemic index rating that aims somewhere between 1 and 40, right? So foods with a glycemic index between 40 and 75, we should kind of probably eat those foods like sparingly, right? So in moderation. And experts tell us that we should be aiming to eat foods or carbohydrates with a glycemic index, a GI rating of probably between like 1 and 40, okay? But let's just take a minute, right? Let's just take a minute, because I literally wrote this in my notes. The chart, oh, look at this chicken scratch. The chart should not make us feel bad, right? Let's just take a moment to kind of talk about that a little bit, because we already, you know, talked about the importance of having carbs in the Trinity along with fats and proteins, right? We already talked about that. We already talked about how proteins can help, you know, prevent muscle catabolism, which is the body eating away at the muscle tissues that we've worked so hardly to, you know, pack on or build up. We already talked about, you know, how we can moderate or have in moderation carbohydrates. We've already talked about those things, right? And so sometimes what works for others may not necessarily work for everyone. Some people are visual, which is why I threw in the glycemic index chart into the book, so you can literally have a visual aid of where a particular food type or carbohydrate falls within the glycemic index chart. And so sometimes when you begin to be like really meticulous, like putting numbers on things and quantifying and putting food on food scales, and I talk about this in the book, girl, I don't put no food on no food scale. I'm not putting the food on a food scale, okay? But that's also, again, why I tell you guys, well, I probably have a lot more body fat still on me today than a lot of other people that I love to follow. But when we think about this chart, I don't want us to think about the chart and be like, oh, I can't eat that food anymore. It has a really high glycemic index rating. It has a glycemic index rating of 45, so right, sparingly. It's all about a healthy balance, okay? Again, guys, you know, wellness, losing weight, losing fat burning process, you know, kickstarting your metabolism, all of that is 80% eating and 20% body movement. So when we look at or consider, you know, visual aids like the glycemic index chart, you know, we shouldn't look at that and feel bad about ourselves in any way, form, or capacity, right? It's just really a tool. What foods do you like to eat? Where does that fall on the chart? And in your mapped out eating schedule, and if you stay tuned to like part 4 or part 5 of the series, then you'll be able to have my exact eating pattern, you know, the times, what that looked like when I was in high school, or, you know, what that looks like now being a, you know, solo mom of 2, a working mom. I am busy, girl. I am on the go. But my eating is really important. And if you don't have it lined up, then you're probably most likely gonna stop in the drive-thru at Wendy's and get the sugar lemonade. Don't drink your calories, girl. Exactly what the book is about. It's a 3-week meal plan of breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, and, you know, the time intervals in which you should eat. Not exact times, but an outline of a timeline that, you know, may work for each of the respective individuals. And, you know, I also accompany that 3-week meal plan with an 11-day smoothie detox that we'll be talking about in, I think, girl, maybe like part 3 or part 4 of this series. So I hope that you stick with us through this series. I hope that you stay tuned for the next time. We're almost done, but we're not done yet. You know, girl, I used to think that I was literally insane. Like, I just thought that it was something that I just kind of like made up. Like, you know, all of my friends were just like, you know, small, fit, you know, I was pretty much the biggest one. I developed, you know, more quickly than other girls my age. You know, I was, okay, like in the 5th grade, okay? And so, you know, if I ate a slice of pizza, or if, I don't know, if I had French fries or a hamburger and French fries and pizza, which was like my favorite things to eat, then, you know, I was literally like gaining weight very quickly, like more quickly than a lot of my peers. And I used to think I was crazy, but no, girl, a lot of that is genetics. And we talked about that a lot in part 1. So, you know, I'll just touch on it here, but I think that us as women don't consider genetics enough. And when I'm watching some of my favorite weight loss people on YouTube, I appreciate the fact so much when they speak about genetics. Some girls just tell us off the rip, hey, I was born this way. I am naturally a lean person. I naturally have, you know, very sculpted muscles. My mama was like this. My grandmama was like this, right? And so when I talk to you guys and I tell you that I was not, my aunties and the women in my family are naturally just kind of thick, kind of round, okay, kind of juiced up. That is where I'm coming from. And you know, I was reading the book Metabolic Renewal by Dr. J. Tita. Those details will be in the description, but he pretty much like reassured me that I'm not crazy. That is a such thing. Like, the way that you metabolize food may be more efficient, it may be more quick than the way that my body breaks down and metabolizes food. So the best service that I could even do myself is to make sure that I am trying to manipulate that metabolism, trying to keep it on a timed interval schedule, not overeating, you know, making sure that there is diversity in my meal size, in the different foods that I eat, making sure that I'm switching it up, having my proteins, my fats, and my carbohydrates all in moderation that is unique to my particular body type as a woman, okay? So that's what it's all about, girl. And I talk all about it in a very deep dive in A Girl's Club Guide to a More Sustainable Weight Loss, which is the title of the ebook. So before we close out, I think it's very important to just know that each of our journey is gonna look very differently. Again, girl, I am not an expert by any means. I've just done this several times over and decided to put some research behind it. And now I wanna just share my tips and tricks of what worked for me. And if you're like me, then, you know, I feel free. I encourage you to try it out. Comment down below, you know, what your weight loss journey has been like. If you've ever had to lose weight before, what worked for you, what didn't, you know, what are some things that you have to do differently now than you did before? Because I think that before closing this video out, I do want to emphasize that weight loss is not a one size fits all approach, baby. Like, whatever Keisha is doing over there, I probably cannot do that, or I need to do that, you know, twice as hard or twice as long. So just as long as we're being patient with ourselves, loving ourselves, you know, showing ourselves some grace, holding ourselves accountable, right? Having that discipline, it's a mental lifestyle reset and change, right? And I hope that's how you think about it, and I hope that's how you consider it. So if this video helped you in any sort of way, please hit the like button, please subscribe, and tap that bell so that you let YouTube know that this is a good video, that this video helped you. It really helps me. And again, that's all that I'm here to do. Bye, guys. I hope you stay tuned for part 3, baby girl. And these talks are so good. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.